Hey y'all, and welcome to Politibrawl. My name is Brian, and the pro-life leader Kristan Hawkins gives this woke college girl an immediate dose of reality during this intense Q&A. This girl is going to learn the hard way, folks. And I want to give a shout out to our friends over at Colonial Metals Group who understand how to protect your hard-earned money against the evils of Bidenflation. But more on that later. Now, back to regularly scheduled programming.
I just want to read you this poster that I have because I hear a lot of pro-lifers say that life begins at conception. So my poster reads,
it does.
Life begins when you understand living women matter more than potential babies.
What is it?
What do you mean?
If it's a potential baby, what is inside of a woman?
It's a fetus?
Is it living?
No.
How can it grow if it's not living?
Actually, that's like saying if an acorn is a tree.
When does the fetus become living?
That's actually a good question, but that line...
Yeah, of course, because you don't know it. Because it's living. It's living.
How about you let her speak?
You're fundamentally denying science to validate your opinion.
You actively deny science, ma'am.
How am I denying? What science did I deny, Darby?
Okay, so let's look at some posters over here.
But
you don't have to be here.
I need you to tell me what science. You just made an accusation that I denied science. What science did I deny?
That it's a child inside of you. It is a clump of cells when
I'm a clump of cells. So when does a child or fetus or clump of cells, whatever you want to call it, when does this clump of cells or fetus become living?
When it can sustain its own life.
How do you sustain life? Like, my newborns aren't sustainable. You can't just have a newborn and they just like live on their own, right?
Right.
They're not sustainable. They need help and assistance to survive. So is a newborn not worthy of life? Is a newborn not worthy of life?
I do have one thing to say to you. How is it that when my mom was in college 30 years ago, she was protesting the exact same thing that me and these wonderful other women and men on this side have been protesting? Why are we still having to talk about this issue? It is a basic human right to have an abortion, to have a choice.
The reason we're still having the question is because some people don't want to accept the natural consequences of heterosexual sex and be inconvenienced by another human life and want to selfishly choose to end human life in order to have their whims met.
Yes, yes. Oh, I love Kristan Hawkins. That is the whole point of the debate. Ultimately, for about 99% of abortions, it is the wanton death of a human being for the sake of expediency. Normally, I'd be enraged by this, but as I've grown, I'm saddened by this. It hurts to know that there are people out there who either A, simply just don't want to accept the consequences and just don't want a child, or B, are so terrified of the situation that they would choose abortion. I can sympathize with B. And that's something that we need to better address in our society. We have lost the ability to protect families in a community setting. We've just sort of lost that. And that's a longer tangent for a larger problem for the day, but you know what? We've got to start off talking about what is actually going on in this video. Y'all, times are rough. Record inflation is still not under control. We have a president who doesn't know what planet he's on, and the Federal Reserve continues to make dumb decision after dumb decision after dumb decision. You can gamble on Wall Street all you want, but if you want to diversify and protect your wealth, you need to look into my friends over at Colonial Metals Group. These amazing experts understand how to keep your wealth safe and protected from the volatility of our current market. And there's even a great deal for first-time accounts. Free gold and silver-backed IRA accounts, insurance on whatever precious metals you happen to buy for 5 years, up to $7,500 worth of silver, and a nice safe for you to keep all this good stuff in. So go take a look at their website, link in the description below, or call the phone number below so you can talk personally to Paul Stone, CEO, and his amazing team of experts to protect your wealth today. First off, we've got to look at the audience. You have one side of the room, ironically the right side of the room, not stage right, the actual right, the camera will flip it backwards, but it's a handful of women and mostly guys that are just looking back and forth and either laughing at this girl, or they're just looking at horror, or they're agreeing with what Kristan Hawkins is actually saying. And so that gives me a whole lot of hope. And that hope says that these kids ultimately understand what's going on. Compare that to the other side of the room where if you caught them, a lot of them are masked up. They don't want their identities shown. And I think the only attractive one is the one speaking without the mask. Which should tell you a lot about these harpies. Because these aren't women. This is an entirely different category of female. And we've got to figure this out. So you know what? I'm just going to stick with harpy for now. Because these women deny science. They deny logic, they deny reason. And they are so terrified of losing their newfound power, that is to pursue a career, escape the kitchen, and refuse responsibility for children. There is no freedom in that. If there are ladies watching, ask a man if he feels free at his job. And ask a blue-collar dude. They're probably just going to shrug and say, I don't like it, but it's a living. Meanwhile, we're perpetuating this lie that women should go into the workforce and love their work. For the most part, we don't love our work. The jobs that I have done before here were jobs that I did not like. They were blue-collar, sweaty jobs that I could barely manage because I'm a little bit too thick for my own good. I've got a little dad bod going on here. But there are blue-collar workers in America that do things that I could never do. And meanwhile, we're telling women, go out into the workforce, don't have kids, forget the home life. We're starting to see testimonials of people coming back around the age of 40 and realizing they've made a big mistake. They're wondering where Mr. Right is. And I'm not saying women shouldn't go into the workforce, absolutely not. Remember Rosie the Riveter? We would not have won World War II without the ability of women to go into the workforce. So I'm not saying you shouldn't. It is possible for you to get the best of both worlds. All right? Hannah Montana, it's possible, y'all. But what I'm ultimately saying is that the debate that's going on here is not about the factuals of science. It's not about the fact that life begins at conception. It's not the fact that the fetus is a human living being. And furthermore, a little more than half the time, the fetus is female. Yeah, if you want to protect women's rights, you really need to start in the womb. So ultimately, we need to ask ourselves a different question. Two different questions, as a matter of fact. What causes these harpies to lose their minds when they are presented with the basic facts and when they are called out on it? Whenever this redhead, this harpy redhead, was called out correctly, she would tense up and immediately start attacking back. That's one of those, methinks the lady doth protest too much sort of moment. And it's a tell that you stepped on her toes and you're over the drop zone. She did that twice. And it's not the fact that she's denying science. It's the fact that her feelings don't care about the facts. It's the fact that she feels that her rights are going to be infringed and her freedoms are going to be infringed. Which, by definition, yes. This is a terrible conversation you have to have. And see, I shouldn't make the argument because I'm a dude. But ladies, you have an unusual responsibility. I've heard it said that women have the keys to sex. Men must opine and earn the rights to enter that. I don't think these ladies have been taught that. You teach that message to a woman to guard herself properly and give herself to a good man. All of a sudden, you've changed the mindset and you've changed the debate. No longer are we talking about abortion. We're talking about choosing a good life. And in America, you are free to choose that life. But that's the thing. You must choose life in order to even get to that point. Our fundamental rights are not just the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. There's also the right to property. But at the beginning of all those, from the Enlightenment period, or at least the early Enlightenment, before Rousseau came in and ruined everything, The right to life is fundamental and paramount. If you do not have this one, the rest can fall quite easily. And these ladies don't understand that. I think Kristan Hawkins does. And that's why half the audience is just kind of laughing at this harpy, because they know that logically there's nothing that she is saying is correct. Everything she's saying is coming from a place of fear and coming from a place of emotion. Neither of those are rational. And that's why conservatives should be winning this argument every single time. Folks, my name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed this segment here on Politibrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. And until then, y'all have a good one.